My name's Ashley. Let's see if the void echoes back today. Welcome to the next book in the Empyrean series. We're starting Iron Flame today.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
I'm
very
so excited
to move forward so we can get into more juicy things.
Yes, I'm very, very, very excited. And I know we said it the past 2 episodes because this is what we're doing now, but I wanted to reiterate again, because this is the new book, that we are going to be doing a spoiler-free section for the first half and then a spoiler section for the entire series in the second half. So if you are reading along, the first half will be safe for you. It'll just be referencing what we have read in book 1 and book 2 up to that point, and then spoilers are obviously going to be covering the entire series. So you have been warned.
Yay!
We're very excited.
Starting off strong in chapter 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very surreal circumstance just in general. She's recovering in this aeration bed and Brennan is fucking alive. Like,
isn't that wild?
Imagine like not knowing you had like going through your sibling's death and then all of a sudden they're like, hello, I'm back from the dead, but I'm not a ghost.
I never died, actually.
Never.
I just hid for 6 years and abandoned the family.
Yeah. Also, it's so fun that she does state in the first chapter when the fact that Brennan is there and did mend her, that she did mention in the first chapter, especially because Brennan.
There you go. You got it.
I'm struggling saying his name.
You got it. I believe in you.
Mended her. That it was her 21st birthday, so she did have a birthday.
Mm-hmm. And while she was in, like, I wouldn't say a coma, but like in a coma for her birthday.
Yes, flitting in and out of consciousness, not really knowing, not being super present at all. So that's so interesting.
Imagine missing your birthday because you were in a coma.
I know. And then not only that is you were in a coma for your birthday and then you wake up and your dead brother is there and fairy tales are real.
Yeah. Can't imagine. Like, I do not know how I would process that information. I think I would have, I don't know.
It's
I would have been
baffled. It's a lot to process. And I guess the thing that I do like about this book is it is real in terms of she is struggling with this. Mm-hmm. She is struggling with what's going on and she's struggling with how to process everything, which is understandable because even me and you are struggling with just certain facts. We're like, how would we feel during that time?
We would, yes. And, you know, I also wanted to bring attention to this book also has the same beginning excerpt as the first book, which I know I've read it 1,000 times. But I would like to read it again because it's so good. And I feel like we just need to bring attention to it every single time we see it, which is these 2 books. So, the following text has been faithfully transcribed from Navarian into the modern language by Yesenia Wellworth, curator of the Scribe Quadrant at Bazgai's War College. All events are true, and names have been preserved to honor the courage of those fallen. May their souls be commended to Malak.
Thank you, Yesenia.
Yes, we love you, Yesenia. But I just think it's really interesting how both books, like, this wasn't just like a book 1 thing. It went into book 2, and it wasn't even changed. Like, it was the same thing. So I think the fact that it is the same thing and that it is there both times means it is quite important.
I'm very excited. I'm so excited. Also, the fact that the chapter excerpt does look like it is written by somebody related to Yesenia.
Mm-hmm.
Because same last name.
Yeah.
Thinking about
I didn't catch that the first time we read it either.
I didn't catch it either. The first time that we read it, I did not catch that they were related to Yesenia. I just thought that it was not necessarily like a quote unquote like a random scribe, but I kind of just assumed that it was like Violet's dad's best friend or something that like didn't actually
and it's
have
also like
a family tie in the main group that's going on now, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, it does. And also, I think like the first time I was reading it through, I wasn't paying attention to any really of the names of those beginning excerpts, and I feel like now I need to go pay attention to those a lot more than I am. I feel like they're going to be important.
I do think they're going to be important, and the fact that they happen every chapter I like, because it seems like we get a little book inside of our big book, you know?
Mm-hmm. I'm here for it. Yeah. And, you know, as Violet is kind of waking up and kind of realizing everything that's going on, you know, she's kind of catching up with Brennan. And, you know, she's just very confused and conflicted in her emotions. She doesn't know if she should be mad. She doesn't know if she should be sad, or she doesn't know if she should be happy and grateful. And she's having like all of these emotions all at once. And she wants to be happy, but she's mad at him because he literally left them for 6 years. And she, I know, openly tells him, like, have you told Mira? And he's like, no. And she's like, you could have saved us. It's like, why didn't you?
Yeah. I also just think that for her, it is harder to Violet has a very strong sense of justice that sometimes doesn't follow rationale. Just the fact that Brennan is still alive is a lot to struggle with, and the fact that he is a lieutenant colonel, which is crazy and so high up. Wow, Ashley. Wow. Am I already boring you? That's
I'm
crazy.
so sorry.
All right, just put it down in the notes. She already yawned. It already happened.
Hopefully that's the only one so far. Continue.
I like how she says that, but 10 minutes later, she's going to do it again. I know her.
But yes, that is a lot to take in.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's a lot to take in, and the fact that her brother is so high up in this
like ranking.
Like in this, I was gonna say I was like in this college, but then I was like, it's not a college, so
no.
Are we gonna
but in this like revolution?
There it is.
Or like in
Thank you.
Where he works, like he's so high up, and you know she's just baffled by it, and it's she like openly admits, she's like, I don't even know you, like before you left you weren't lieutenant colonel, like you weren't that high up. And she asked him, she's like, how? And he's like, well, a lot of people die and you kind of get ranked up as that happens, but like a lot changes in 6 years, and he admits to not knowing her anymore either.
Yes, he does. As well as like when she's coming to and all of these big things are hitting her, she's obviously still a little like groggy and things like that, but she's checking in on her bonds and things like that. And she does realize that Andarna's bond is no longer gold, which is very interesting considering the fact that in all of book 1, the bond was described, like, and Darna's bond was described as a gold thread, and the fact that it's no longer gold is very interesting.
Yeah.
But she does end up being able to get up and function, and she is still really in love with Xaden. I just want to throw it out there. Like, the fact that this girl pines like this. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it really hurts how she feels that she can't trust him because she's pathetically in love with him. Is one of our notes down.
Okay. I understand in certain ways, but also at the same time, I'm kind of glad that she admits that she's, like, pathetically in love with him, and how it's really irrational that she feels this way. Because I like the acknowledgement, because it feels like my feelings have been validated now.
Yes, because you really don't like them together. This is unpopular opinions from Kaylee.
Unpopular opinions from Kaylee. I don't like them together. I like them as separate people, for sure, definitely. I think that as two separate characters, great characters. I like them both. Like, I'm in love with them both separately.
Oh, really?
Kind of. Actually, you're right. That was a really bold statement for me to say.
That was really bold.
I really like them both separately, as separate characters. Sometimes. Is a more accurate statement. I like them both separately as their own individual characters sometimes, because sometimes I do think they are annoying. But I think everybody.
But is that mainly because of the relationship?
Possibly. Possibly. Because that's why I'm like, I like them apart, because looking at who they are apart is much more satisfying, because you do get to see that they are their own people and not just lovesick puppies.
Yeah.
So, but I like that she can admit it, but also at the same time, I feel like she should.
Yeah? You having trouble over there?
I am. I'm trying to put into words in a very nice way. I just feel like she should take a step back and maybe focus on herself and see why her values are so conflicting, and not just be so caught up in the idea of what she thinks that he is. But that's my own opinion.
And I do agree with this, and I think...
Continue.
Oh, and I do think, you know, as even relationships in the real world, you need to grow as your own person, so then you can be the best version of yourself for your partner and in your relationship.
I agree. And, you know, I am not saying that a couple can't grow together and continue to grow together, because that is what a relationship is. It's about loving one another, being your own self, and having your own sense of self, but then also building each other up, growing together, and morphing into something brand new and different for your relationship.
Yeah.
But it's also just hard when you're saying, like, you love each other after, like, the second time that you guys did it. I think that it comes up later in this book, but I'll probably talk about it later, about why I'm like, this is also like the other thing that confuses me about the book.
I'm intrigued to hear what this is.
Oh, Ashley knows what it is, because me and her had a very long discussion about why I think that the only way that, like, why Violet talks about him like that.
I'll remember eventually. We have so many conversations.
I know. Actually, you know what? Maybe it was about Onyx Storm. Maybe it was in Onyx Storm that we really talked about it.
Yeah, it was. If I know what you're talking about, yes, it is. Yes. Anyway. So then, along with that, it's like she just also is just looking at how good she thinks he looks so good, and like going again along with that. She's still in love with him, but she can't trust him, so she's not going to be with him. And they go to a meeting, and this chapter is just introducing everybody. Like, you could just very much see it's stating who everybody is and everything like that. But I really like how quick it introduces everybody. Like, it doesn't feel too pushed. It doesn't feel like, I've read a couple books where I'm just like, wow, this is just shoving it in your face. Like, yes, I know that this is book 3 in this book, or in this series, but it's book 3. Can we please just breathe? And it doesn't need to be like 10 chapters. Thank you. Like, I really like how it's pretty much on like the first and second page. This is Bodhi, this is Garrick. Bodhi is the cousin, Garrick is the friend, this is Imogen, Brennan is the brother, and then it's going to obviously introduce Rhea in them, but I think it's going to be more context clues than anything, and I really, really like how they kind of did that. Like, it was just kind of boom, 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 here you go.
Exactly, and I also love that these first chapters really have to do with the Eurasian Revolution. Like, this has to really only do with the Marked Ones and Violet and her relationship with them, and her relationship with the and her relationship with the revolution. I don't know why I forgot that word when I literally just said it like 3 seconds ago.
Did you really? And then, seeing the, I wonder what this word is that I literally just said. What a loser. But yes, I do think it is fun to see the revolution side, because, we've seen the entire first book, except for the last, 5 chapters, I would say, is from the Navarian side, and we don't see this side of it. And so it's really fun to see the inner pieces and the inner working of the revolution, because we've just heard really shitty, fucked up things from this that are from the other person's perspective. So it is really fun to see the difference of this side. And I like how it's starting with that, like you said.
As well as the fact that the first chapter just immediately hops in with, hey, there's this big meeting of all 7 of, like, the revolutionary heads. How would you say that better?
Revolutionary governors? No idea.
We'll work on it.
I don't think they're governors. I don't know.
Maybe council?
The
Revolutionary Council?
That's a better word. I agree with this one.
Okay. I like that one.
Okay.
We're going to call it the council.
But yes, they start off with they're having a meeting, and just kind of like, what are they going to do? And the topic is pretty much just Violet. Like, trying to figure out, like, hey, again, like, this is a soaring gale. Like, she's going to rat us out and all of these things. And, they're open meetings, so Violet is able to sit in on this. So Garrick, Imogen, Bodhi, and Violet are all kind of just standing in the back. And Xaden is a part of this council. And so,
I love that the meetings are open.
Oh yeah, me too. I really do.
Like, I think, like, it makes it more how do I put this? Democracy-like,
Yeah.
for lack of better terms.
Yeah. Yeah. And, she is listening to them, like, talk about her, and she does eventually get fed up and goes, like, she is standing right here. You can talk to me. I am right here. And I'm not about to go rat everybody out. Like, why would I do that? I have no intentions of doing that. And, like, kind of explaining how she was fighting for them and kind of explaining, like, all of these things. And I really do like how she stood up for herself instead of just kind of sitting there like, oh, like, they're talking about me. Oh no. What are they gonna do? And, like, she gave herself a voice. And that's how this is their first pretty much interaction with her. So this is how they know her now. And so I think that's really cool of how she wasn't just a, like, timid, meek person just kind of sitting there like, oh yeah, like, they can kind of say whatever they want about me. I'll just listen. She was just like, hey, no, I know that I'm not technically a part of this meeting, but I'm going to go voice myself because they're talking about me, and let me voice my side because no one knows my side but me.
I absolutely agree. And the fact that they are arguing is whether or not should we send everybody back to the college? Should we keep them here? Should we send everybody but Xaden and Violet? Should we send everybody but Violet? What are we doing? And I love the line where she does state, who do they think that they're looking at? Or who?
Yeah.
Like, are they looking at Lilith's daughter, or are they looking at Brennan's sister? But because of the way that she was able to actually have her own voice, I think that they're not going to be looking at her as Lilith's daughter or as Brennan's sister. I think, like you said, they're going to know her for her, which I love. That is happening right here in the very first part of the book.
Yeah. Yeah. I really do enjoy that. And I think it just kind of shows who she is as a character and, like, how she is. Like, she, she has a voice and she does want to stand up for her friends. Obviously, we saw that in the last book with Jack and, like, or Jack attacking Liam and everything like that. Like, she wants to stand up for her friends, but it actually is really fun for her to start having her own voice for herself instead of just for her friends. And I really like how, like you said, we see that in the first chapter. So we kind of know what we're getting into for the continuation of the book, which I think is very fun.
I absolutely agree with that. Also, something to note is because there's 7 council members, is it 4 to pass?
Yeah.
4 is the minimum vote to pass. I just wanted to throw it out there, just like a clerical thing.
Oh yes, I agree. Thank you. And
just a clerical note.
And they also continue, like, they're still talking, and she hears them, and they're, like, talking about how, like, oh, like, is Xaden only protecting her because he's her weakness? Wait, she's
because
his
Violet
weakness.
is Xaden's weakness.
Yeah, because if Violet is killed, Xaden might die because of the connection of the bond, and so it's like bringing that point up again and kind of reiterating how it is in the first book, and also explaining how, like, they blatantly say, hey, like, Atos is gonna try to kill you. Like, he is not your friend anymore. He can't know about any of this, because he will kill you.
I mean, I don't think he's ever been her friend.
Not Dane. Don't we love him? I love him. Me.
I am so happy that it's a you thing.
Oh, thank you. I have at least one TikTok fan that also likes him. Thank you to who you are. I really appreciate you for backing me up on my point. But then...
Gross.
And, then as the meeting ends, it's kind of adjourned, and I think they're just kind of take a break. Or no, they did rule, like, it was okay, but they took a break to continue to talk about it later. And Xaden is like, hey, like, you need to talk to Brennan, because I know we're leaving soon. So you haven't seen him in 6 years. I will be fine. Go talk to your fucking brother. What are you doing?
I agree because yes, she wants to talk to Xaden, but she also really wants to go see Andarna and Taryn because she hasn't seen them since she's woken up. She kind of just like woke up. There's the boy, like there's her brother, and now we're in this council meeting that she's in the hallway of listening to, and you know, she is, I feel like, putting off the inevitable in terms of talking to Brennan. And I also think that she's doing it because she's nervous. Because she doesn't really know him. But she feels like she knows him because that's her brother. So she should know him. But he's been gone for so long.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be weird? Like, that'd just be such an awkward situation, no matter how much, like, even if you and your brother were super, super close. 6 years, that's a long time, and especially in, like, that's such a defining moment of your life. I mean, that's 15 to 21. That's a lot. That's a big difference. Like, 15 to 21, huge difference there. And so then, and especially, you thought he was dead. It's not like he just went off and you never saw him again, and you didn't talk to him, and then you saw him again in 6 years. No, you thought he was dead. It's like, no matter how close you are, no matter how you don't want it to be awkward, that is going to be a really awkward situation. And I would never want to be in that situation, thank you.
I also think that it's so interesting how it openly states, Brennan says it, I have always pictured you in scribe colors. Even Brennan was not really prepared for Violet to be a writer, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah. Like, everybody thought she was going to be a scribe. Like, her going to the Writer's Quadrant, not even an option to anybody. They never thought about it that way.
And I just feel like that's kind of telling.
I agree with that. And
it could be because the way that they were raised, but I love that Violet took that opportunity to say, basically, I understand that you only ever pictured me in this way, but I also wanted to let you know that Mira gave me your book and it has really helped me.
Yeah, we're now in chapter 2.
Yes. They start talking, and we're sorry, we did not announce it. When Violet and Brennan start talking, then we started chapter 2.
Yes. Yes. But really quick, back in chapter 1, I know we talked about it. Sorry, I have something in my eye. Back in chapter 1, I know we already kind of talked about it, but I wanted to say, like, even, like, when they were talking about Xaden's weakness, that's them showing without, like, telling us, but it wasn't, like, aggressively telling us. Like, it was explaining the first book in a way that it made sense for this book. It wasn't just throwing it in your face. I know we talked about it already.
I'm so sorry. Can you re-say that sentence?
Yes,
or
yes,
like
I can.
The point, please.
Yes. I'm not a fan of books that if you're like like we said, like if you're in the third book and they're like, oh, here's this and this and this and this, and it takes up like 10 chapters, and you're like, I already know who all these characters are. Please just, can we move it on? And I like how even like it touches on how Xaden can die from Violet dying. Like, and it kind of touches on how the bond works, but not in a, this is how the bond works. It was in a, this is the meeting. And it like moves this book's plot along, and it's not just, but I think it's interesting because it's explaining how their bond works, which obviously we knew from book 1, but it was kind of like restating, like, okay, like, they're all connected in this way, this is how this works, and hey, like, if one of them dies, it's kind of a big chance that the other one might die just because the dragon mates, and if one mate dies, then it's a whole thing. And so it's interesting. I just really like how it was very subtle, it was quick, it was straight to the point, and I really like that, and I wanted to restate that.
I love that because I was a little bit confused by your first statement. That time it was much clearer.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad it made sense that time. I hope you agree because of all the work that I attempted to say.
I agree.
I'm glad. And we've already started talking about book or chapter 2, so let's continue.
Yes, chapter 2. I love that she does bring up that Mira gave her this book, and Brennan openly says, I'm glad that it helped you, and I'm glad that it helped her. And I love how she kind of describes Mira in her own head, that Mira helped her more than that book did, because as like a naive, scared, sheltered like woman, it like she pushed her to be who she is now. Yes, the book did help, but she really did become herself, which is, I think, just so sweet. I love it.
It's so sweet.
And Brennan just immediately asked, oh, how is Mira? I love her response. But she'd probably be better if she knew that you weren't dead. I kind of agree with her, though.
No, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I do like how she also, like, yes, it's like, oh, she'd be better if you were alive, but it's like, from experience. It's like, jabbing it in a little bit more, too. Like, hey, like, you left both of us out of the loop. Like, what is happening, sir?
Which I like that Brennan kind of just glazes over it. I think that says a lot about
that.
his character, and he's just like, that's valid. Thank you for saying it. I deserve to hear that from you, especially because that is the true emotion that you have.
Yeah.
And he does kind of explain what happened to him and what is going on, because the story of Brennan is that he died, and that Naolan, Taryn's writer, gave his life in attempt to save Brennan. So we know now that Brennan is alive, that the attempt was successful. Brennan does state that Professor Kaori helped, I don't know, lack of a better term, smuggle him off of the battlefield.
Yeah, because Kaori was there. He was the one that came back and reported Brennan as deceased. And so, I mean, Brennan openly says, like, I miss Kaori. He's a good man.
Which is really interesting that Kaori is still such a large integral part of Beskaya.
And, you know, like you said, like, what Brennan says about Naolan is Naolan didn't fail, but it cost him everything. I woke up on a cliffside not far from here. His dragon had been wounded, but he was alive too, and the other dragons. And then they hid in a cave with dragons.
That there are other dragons there that helped them through the caverns and gave them a safe place to be.
Yeah. And, you know, Violet does, because Naolan is Taryn's previous writer. And, you know, so she does say, like, I'm sorry, writer died saving my brother. And Taryn just responds, we will no longer speak of the one who came before.
Which is understandable, like how heartbroken Taryn is. And I do like the consistency, because Taryn has always been cagey about Naolan. Has always really tried to avoid everything about talking to him. I also kind of love how Violet Violet does suggest that there is something between Naolan and Brennan.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how she says that. Like, she's like
openly admits
that there does seem like there is something there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she does ask, like, you were healed and you had the opportunity to come back, so why did you not?
And then, he openly says, like, he couldn't fly for Navarre, and he couldn't look at Mom in the eye as she justifies the cowardness of our actions. Then he couldn't live the lie. And Violet just responds, but you left us to live the lie. You left us behind to do it.
Which is really hard because there's a lot of... I understand that Brennan had that sense of justice, as in, I can't do this. I'm not going to go back and listen to people say that I'm wrong and gaslight me and then try to justify them cowering behind the lines and not helping and saving other people. But I do think that Violet is correct. So you just left us there to live this lie, and you didn't even give us the choice to say yes, we want to, or no, we don't. Which is definitely a big theme for Violet, is everybody around me lies to me. And I know I shouldn't be laughing about that.
Because she's not technically wrong.
No, she's definitely not wrong. I find it funny that is one of the biggest themes, is that a lot of people lie to Violet, and Violet gets very upset because lying obviously is not part of her values and like who she is as a person.
Yeah.
But just the fact that it's interesting too that most of the lies that are highlighted are coming from men in her life. And I'm sure she's just still feeling super insecure about it. And she does feel really hurt that he didn't give her the option. And Brennan's first response is, well, you had Dad.
Yeah.
And she openly says, until he was gone. Because he died
you
from
faked
grief.
your death. Like, he died because of you dying. And now look, now he kind of died for nothing.
Yes. Right? I'm so sorry. I'm gonna get really excited for a second. Right? Because he is like trying to justify his, oh, well, I was trying to save other people and like be better, and you had Dad and blah blah blah. And she was like, literally, he died. He died because he thought you died. Bitch.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Literally. I was like, sir. And it's...
But also, not only that, is your parents can't protect you forever. And I understand that he has more of a love for his father, especially the way that he talks about both his mom and his dad. The way that the reason why he didn't go back is because specifically he didn't want to hear his mother talk about her cowardice and the cowardice of the entire realm of Navarre. But it did seem, the way that he phrased it, that his dad was not lumped into that.
Yep.
There it is, number 2.
I have a water bottle and I can smack you.
I love that. You smack me, and then we'll start a GoFundMe to raise money for Ashley smashing her phone.
Actually, you're on my laptop.
Great. Then the GoFundMe needs to be like at least like $2,000 to replace that. It'll be way more than a phone.
That's funny. But yes, I am very excited that he, not excited, but I did really like, it really shows both of their characters in this moment. And like, it shows how they both, like, Violet does call him out on his shit.
Mm-hmm. And I
And
love
like, she
that
doesn't
Violet.
just sit there and take it.
Exactly. The fact that she doesn't just sit there and take it is amazing. I also love the fact that Violet does call him on his shit all the time, because there's like, it kind of like pans like the conversation like kind of shifts to her looking at the map and like being like, well, now that they're here, Brennan, why don't you tell me this big plan that you have?
Mm-hmm.
And Brennan is like, well, we need to find a lumiary, which is basically a forge, because the Venom were defeated in at some point. So how can and when can we defeat them?
Yep.
And he says, oh, you can kind of tell just by the way that certain texts say this and certain texts say that. And he was like stating something about the wyvern, and like how he was like, oh, well, like we gotta find like the hatching ground of the wyverns. And I love that Violet is like, I'm sorry, I'm confused. You are telling me that you think that they hatched, because we should know already that they're made. And he's like, how do you remember that? And she's like, how do you not remember that?
It's from the book, you dingus.
And I kind of love that Brennan sat over here for like 6 years.
And didn't know?
Yes, and like they didn't
They also
know,
didn't
or
tell him.
Hmm?
They also did not tell him.
They didn't tell him, but at like, because it's been 6 years and he's been essentially what we could assume fighting the Venom for 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that not only did he not remember that from that book, but also very interesting that nobody else seems to know.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
And
like, that book is so
compliments her too.
hidden. Like, nobody knows that book.
And that was stated when she tries to find a copy of it from the library in the first book, that she's like, this is confusing. We have everything under the fucking sun. Why is this not here?
Yeah. That was Yesenia's first appearance, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Which
Isn't
is
that wild?
so interesting to see. And Brennan does say, they do kind of mention the fact that must be like the only book in existence about it, because Brennan does say it's crazy that you remember that so well. And she's like, well, I have the book. And he says that of course she would keep it because she's essentially at her heart still a scribe.
Yeah.
It does go into, in this chapter, it does go into a little bit more about the forge and how it kind of seems like there's this iron box of some sort that is like a beacon or a lure, like to like lure them closer to them, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
And Brennan says to Violet, well, Dad always did say that scribes hold all the power.
And I feel like that is such a common theme throughout this book. They say that all of the time, that scribes hold all of the power.
And
I mean, it's true.
I was like, it does seem like very plausible. They're the one writing history books. They're the ones like recording everything on the battlefield. They're the ones sending out newsletters and like articles and things like that. They're the ones doing this.
Yeah.
And what if maybe they did change things? What if that's why we don't have them? And they're kind of coming to like this conclusion about it. And Violet does ask Brennan, do you think Dad knew?
Yeah. And he just likes to think so. He didn't know for sure. But to me, I think it's fairly obvious that he knew.
Does Brennan say he likes to think that he knew? Or I thought Brennan said that he likes to think that he did not know.
Oh.
Because I'm pretty sure that he did not, like he's saying, I'm pretty sure that he did not know, that Dad did not know what was going on. At least he likes to think that.
Oh, yeah, he chooses to believe that he did not.
Yes. Which
Which
once
I guess
again...
like, he just wants his dad to be okay. Like, it does seem like they had a really, really, really close relationship.
Yeah.
And so... Also, like, I guess it's sad that he didn't get to say goodbye to his dad. But also...
That was his choice.
Yeah. It was his choice, and he has to live with that now.
He has to live with that, and Riley does point out that they call it a revolution and not a rebellion. And so because they call it a revolution, she openly states, you do think that you can win then?
Yeah.
And Brennan goes on to talk about the Luminary again and says, I really do think that this is what stopped the Venom 600 years ago, and they need to find something. They need to find it to save them. And and the reason why they're leaning towards a weapon more than anything is because they cannot get the ward stone to work because they don't know how to start up the ward stone.
Yeah.
And this is where I think Violet starts to spiral a little.
Yes, she does.
I think I told Ashley this. I was like, she's spiraling.
No, you did. You called me, or I called you, and we were talking about the book, and you're like, she was spiraling.
There you go. Got that.
She was spiraling here, and she was just like, because she's like, oh, like, how do you do it? How do you do this? How do you do that? And it's like, okay, take a breath. This is a lot.
Especially because she immediately was like, why are you guys trying to make weapons? Why are you guys not just trying to, like, put the wards up and call it a day? And in my mind, I'm like, I mean, she's not, like, in terms of, yes, I do think that they should be fighting to, like, put the wards up as well. But also, I understand where Brennan's coming from. There's no way that it could just be these ward stones, especially if they have lures and other things to lure Venom to a certain area. Like, it doesn't seem like that's the proper way to do it. So the fact that she goes head to toe into this, like, kind of thing, and Brennan does see her wheels turning and says, do not go to the library. Do not go research this. You are going to get us caught, and you are going to get us caught, and we are going to be in danger. Do not do this. And she's still thinking in her head, she's like, but if this would just happen, everybody would be safe and nobody would die and we wouldn't have to worry about it and nobody would have to lie because everybody's safe.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
It shows her character, that's for sure. Because that was a big thing in book 1, and, it's continuing into book 2. And, she sees Xaden again. And But before that, like, Brennan is like, you can't know anymore because you don't know how to shield against Dane. Because everybody here knows how Dane stole her memories. How else would they be there?
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't have happened if Dane didn't steal her memories. And, Xaden walks into the room and Violet is just like, what is love? I don't know, because I can't trust this man. But I still love him, but I don't want to. I don't know what I'm thinking. Like, she is in such a dilemma about this. And she's like, wow.
She is.
Confused.
She's in such a dilemma, but not only that, is she's like she's in such a confused state that even Taryn is like, so what would, because she's like going off like a list of all the things that Xaden didn't tell her, and she lands on, I can't believe that he kept Brennan from me. Like, that's so horrible. Like,
Yeah.
I really can't trust him because he didn't tell me about Brennan as well. And I love Taryn's response is, what would you have done with that information?
Yeah.
Like, what would you have done differently with that information? And Violet just really quickly spits back, like, stop bringing logic into an emotional dilemma.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's very interesting. And she does state that she is concerned about the plan. Obviously, she's very concerned about the plan, and she wants to start shielding because she doesn't want to put anybody else in danger. And her and Brennan are now like walking to the, lack of a better term, flight field where the dragons are. I think it's like the valley or the ditch, or I don't know. They describe it as something. I don't remember what they describe it as, but it's fun to see them describe what's going on here, because they do describe Sigale as needy, which in the first book, Sigale was only described as ruthless, cold, does what she wants, all of these other things. And then to see Sigale like being a needy dragon with Taryn, and even being needy with Xaden, is very interesting.
Yeah. It is. And, then, Brennan starts walking over and Sigale just growls at him and, like, snaps and snarls at him. And, he openly admits, she's like, oh, like, she's never liked me. And, Violet does tap in saying, oh, she doesn't like anybody but Xaden. Like, and even that's iffy. Like, it's okay. But I do think it's interesting, and, like, yes, she's growled at Violet. Yes, she's growled at other people, but, like, snapping and, like, snarling, interesting.
It is very interesting that Sigale has always hated Brennan.
Yes, I agree.
Which is like a interesting dynamic to hear about, because obviously Sigale and Brennan met previously because of Naolan.
Yeah.
And Violet even is like, oh, she's only like now started liking me. And like, I'm like, she openly is like, oh yeah, I think I'm growing on her. And I love Sigale.
Like a tumor.
Like, yes, like a tumor. You're growing on me like a tumor.
I love her so much. So much.
And then she does see Andarna now.
Yeah, and she's big, and she has black scales. And, she describes the scales as purple, but like so glistening they look almost iridescent, like they're gorgeous. But they're like black scales, and she doesn't have her tail quite yet, but she has claws. She no longer has her little paws and fluff. She has claws, and she's like an actual dragon now, but she's, trying to go into the dreamless sleep. Like, she's really exhausted, and the dreamless sleep is where dragons kind of go and, like, grow while they're asleep. And, Violet starts kind of spiraling again about how she made her use time and, like, stop time to save I forget
everybody
who.
and
Liam?
her. She used it twice. Once to
Mm-mm-mm.
save Lee, like to just catch Liam, and
Yeah.
then another time at the very end to help her and Taryn.
Yes,
Right?
you're right. Okay. And she, is like spiraling. She's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like, how dare I? I'm the worst. And Darna's like, no, like, it's okay. Like, breathe, bro.
Yeah, and then not only that is, then she like kind of thinks about it and she's like, her scales look black, kind of like this pearly iridescent color, but black. And then she like turns to Taryn and is like, is that your baby? You tell me right now, is that your baby?
Yeah, because everybody's lying to her. Like, I don't really blame her on this one. And she's like, what were the chances of me bonding two black dragons? And Tara just looks at her and goes, no, she is not mine. She chooses her tail from like what we need. Mm-hmm. So, and then she's like, and he's like, black dragons are rare, but they still exist. Like, it's okay.
And he does state that there are two little black dragons, or two dragons that will most likely be black because they're from Coda's line, who is the other black dragon who's the head of the like Empyrean. I think
Coda.
I think that's who, right? Coda is like the head of the Empyrean.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to note that the head of the Empyrean is also a black dragon.
Brennan's brother, not Brennan's brother. Taryn's brother. At least they're blood related somehow.
I think they're cousins. I don't think they're that close to like related. I think they come from like a distant line that are like that's similar from each other, but they're not.
You think so?
Yes. I think you should look it up because I'm almost positive they're cousins. Like, I think they're related in like a family realm, but I do not think that they're like siblings. Like, they're not close siblings. I know that Coda is older than Taryn.
Yes.
And that Coda and his mate have had the longest bond out of anybody in the Empyrean. But
they come from the same den.
Okay. I don't know what that means in dragon terms.
I don't know either.
Because I know this is gonna sound crazy. I just kind of thought it was like lions.
That's like, what I thought.
There's one dude that kind of impregnates
everybody.
Yeah, everybody. So they're all kind of related, but not really related.
Yeah. No, that's kind of how I see it, but who knows? But, they're talking about how, and, like, she's just spiraling. And Taryn is just sitting there so grumpy, and he's like, ugh, adolescence. I hate adolescence. And Adana starts kind of snapping at Violet in, like, a very, like, sarcastic way. And she's like, and Violet's kind of like, oh, like, what is happening here? This is ridiculous. You've never been like this before. And, Taryn's just sitting there like, ugh, adolescence.
I also love that when he describes, like, this age, he is like, I want to let you know that this is going to be the hardest time for everybody. And she, like this is going to be, like, the worst time. This is going to be the hardest time. And Violet's like, for her, does it hurt? And he's like, no, for everybody around her. It's the worst time for everybody around her. Because like, he already knows that she's going to be, like, a little punk. Like, she's already been a little punk, but, like,
no, it's going to be an extra little punk.
Looking forward to, like, the teenage years of Andarna being even sassier than she was before.
Yeah. Yep. And, so after they kind of have that discussion, they start talking about who's going back to Vizcaya. Who's staying, who's going, what is the plan here? And, they kind of do come to the conclusion that they're all going to go. But Brennan is really, really nervous to let Violet go because of my beloved Dane.
I mean, I don't really blame him for being that nervous, but Xaden does say that he is going to teach her how to shield, and kind of looks at her, and as he like says, I'm going to teach you how to shield, openly says, I will also do anything and everything in my power to get your trust back.
Yeah.
And I like that he is able to acknowledge when he was wrong, because he was fucking wrong, and and you should not lie to people. Wrong, and I kind of agree with her for being upset, but also
Yeah.
it is interesting to see them have this type of relationship, because she is like this upset. She's also like, I'm just so in love with him, I can't even think when he's around.
Yep. And as we know, Zayn also can't think if she's around, so it works out great.
At least he keeps a
Not
good
really.
face.
That is true. That is true. That is true. And so they're kind of debating it, and she says like, "Oh, like my mom won't kill me," and Brennan just looks at her and goes, "Say that over and over until you believe it. Can you say it like you believe it?"
Exactly. Like the very actually look me dead in the eyes and tell me that you do not think that she would sacrifice you in a heartbeat, because he knows that basically she sacrificed him.
Yeah.
She let him do that. She let them go, and basically knew that she was probably going to lose him, and she knew it, and she still let him do it. And I understand, like, Brennan does hold a lot of resentment because
That'd be hard.
But also, it is interesting to see how everybody romanticizes their dad, and that their mom is always the bad guy.
Isn't that interesting?
I do find that really interesting, and as a woman, I kind of think about that too, because I find that happens a lot just due to family dynamics of if you were home most of the time, you're, I don't want to speak for everybody, but in stereotypical terms, the mom is picking the kids up from school. The mom is spending the most time with them as babies and toddlers. The mom is, the mom also makes it makes it a point to know things about their kids that their dad will probably never know. And it's interesting that they do have this very, even Mira says it, that their mother is cold. So it's interesting how all three of them just tend to like their dad a lot more. I think that it's interesting that they all really do have a lot more animosity towards their mom, and I think it's probably because the mom was on top of them to make sure that they're acting in line, because she is so high up in rank. I also think that they believe that because of her title, she knows and is calling a lot more shots than she could be. Like, not to say that she's not, because she is an extremely high title that at this point in her life, I think that she is. But previously, it's very, I don't think that she was, because obviously you have to I don't want to say level up, you rank up, raise rank.
To level up. Yes, you have to climb the ranks.
There you go. Climb the ranks.
Ha 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 ha. I am the smartest.
Ashley is so smart.
Thank you.
They do decide to go back, and the chapter ends with Xaden saying, we need to be back in 48 hours for graduation.
Bum, bum,
I will say,
But one line that I did really, really like is like, Brennan and Xaden, Brennan mainly, but Xaden, is the one he is arguing with, they're like, well, what are you gonna do? Like, how are you gonna keep her, Atos's hands off her until, she gets shield? And, Xaden's over here like, she's the best shielder in this year. Like, she is doing so good that you need to have faith in her. You're not having any faith in her. Like, she's gonna do it. And, then Xaden does go, like, because he says, how can you ensure that he won't get his hands on her? And then Xaden just goes, by hitting him in his greatest weakness, and where it hurts, his pride.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because Xaden
I just needed that line needed to be here. What?
Xaden does know that Dane is so prideful, and that is the way
so prideful
he's gonna do it. And also, not gonna lie, the fact that they're like, oh, we gotta be back for graduation, because they definitely probably forgot that they were in war games and not being sacrificed,
Yep. But so they have 48 hours to get back.
And, 48 hours to get back, which is definitely doable. Which is doable because we know that because of the way, like, the map it was described and things like that. But that's the way the chapter ends. And so now we are going to start spoilers.
Dun dun dun. So you have been warned. From here on is going to be spoilers of the entire series. Proceed at your own risk. There will also be chaos and yelling, so be prepared.
Okay. Yes, be prepared.
It'll be great. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the spoiler side. You made it. Welcome. This is going to involve a lot more yelling. Just a heads up.
Probably, yeah. Since this is the spoiler, and we've stated it so many times, blah, 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 I'm going to start. I love the fact that these beginning excerpts are really foreshadowing so many things that are happening in the books, like, going on. I also didn't realize, but I've been thinking about it, the beginning excerpts from this book is mostly past correspondences.
Really?
Like, I feel like they're mostly recovered correspondences, which is or from the field guide.
How interesting.
In the field guide, didn't Kaori write?
Was it Kaori or was it
Melgren?
Mallory. Nope.
Melgren?
Melgren.
I was like, Melgren? Melgren?
Well, Mallory is a character, just not in this series.
Yeah. I don't know where that came from, but cool. Yeah. Good for you. I'm so...
Those that know, they know.
Okay, yeah. They know. They know. Drop a comment down below if you know.
Who is Lord Mallory?
Ruler of Malarkey Land.
Amazing. 10 out of 10. That's obviously who Lord Mallory is. Anyway, so yes, I do agree, but I think, God, I want to call him Mallory now. Malcolm?
Melgren?
Melgren! Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry. Melgren. I thought Melgren wrote it.
The field guide? I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure Kaori has their own field guide. Because...
Let's see. Okay. Colonel Kaori's field guide to Dragonkind. Kaori. Kaori.
Suck it! Suck it!
Damn it!
Suck it!
Ugh! Fuck! I was so close! Well, not really, I said like 3 different names. Names before I got to Melgren. It's like you when you couldn't remember the rebellion word.
Listen, do you? What's the rebellion word? Because why didn't you say it then?
The rebellion?
Is it the rebellion? Because it's actually not. It's called the revolution. Because they're gonna win. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, it's the revolution.
Amazing.
I also love that the first excerpt is actually like either like Yesenia's dad or something, or like an actual like blood related person to Yesenia, and I think that that's fun to see because she was also raised around the scribes her whole life, very similarly to Violet, which yes has already been stated in book 1, but just I think it's exciting to see. I think it's exciting to see now.
Yes, I agree. And I was also thinking about this, and I think the beginning excerpts are so vital and so important, and the reason that you and I latched onto them so well, and I know a lot of people do as well, is Fourth Wing and like the Empyrean series is only from Violet's perspective. So what she knows is what we know, and so those little beginning excerpts give us so much information that we would never know, and it makes things a little bit more confusing, and then it's also twists in books. There's so many different types of twists, and like in series and stuff, where it's like there's twists where like the audience knows and you're just waiting for the characters to kind of figure it out, or there's like where you don't know and the character doesn't know and you kind of have it together. And I feel like this is kind of a mix of both if you know how to pick up on the context clues, and I think that's really fun.
I also think that it's fun. I also love the fact that she does the beginning excerpts, because she could have just started the chapters and not did the excerpts and then put the excerpts in like a little small book, kind of similarly to like that one book that I don't like that's in the middle of a series that had no point. But I'm happy that she didn't, because I do like, of course I would read it, but also at the same time I'm like, what was the point of it?
I know that we've discussed. I know that we've discussed possibly, I think it'd be really interesting having recovered correspondence between Lily and Asher.
Yes.
Like a small little like tiny...
Yeah, a little bit more.
Because I want to know more about them. They just seem...
I want to know how they fell in love. Because the way that everybody describes this woman, especially like her own kids, I really want to know. Because the way that all three of them describe their mother is cold, rigid, and structured.
And you know,
a hard ass.
As we're talking about the beginning excerpts, we see it, I think it's more in Onyx Storm, but I do think we see some where it's correspondence between them two in this book as well. You could just feel the love between them, but like just it drifting apart, and you could feel the tension, and you could feel the love just trying so hard, and it's like, I want to know how this love story started, and I want to know what happened.
I do. Like, what happened, I feel like, is so important, but maybe not super important to the series that we're reading currently. Like, it's important to the fans. You know, it's important to the fans, definitely.
Yes, I would love to see it.
I also think that, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and state it. It's really interesting that literally the first 2 chapters explains the entirety of this book.
Oh, it does. It really does.
The main concept of these books is, you know, she's going to struggle with the fact that people lie a lot. One of the main points. She's going to crash out and try to make a better plan because she doesn't trust anybody. Second point. And she's still in love with Satan. Third point.
And also, they mention that they think that there's a year, but it ends up only being 6 months. And it does end up being only 6 months, and they fight. You know, like, it's... Everything was laid out in the first 2 chapters.
Exactly. It's just so interesting, but I'm also really curious I'm curious about the lore because I don't think I registered it like the first time when Brennan talks about it, openly states that Garrick's dad. Also, I did like the fact that there were so many mentions of the kids' parents because they never talk about them. The fact that Garrett's dad found it, like found the iron box that, attracts the venom. Like, so interesting.
And also interesting about like the iron box. Like there's so many little things that I'm picking up on more. And I also, this has not been confirmed yet, but I think it's really interesting on how they talk about Brennan's, in quotes, death.
Yes, it is very interesting. Also, these are the first chapters where we get to see the rune on his hand, which kind of goes into the theory that Ashley was probably going to talk about.
It was. It really was. Yes, it was. Thank you. Yeah, so, like, there's a theory that Brennan is Venom, or that Naolan, because Brennan is a mender, so the theory is Brennan died, and Naolan was a siphon, so he siphoned through Brennan to get his mending powers, couldn't do it, and he wasn't strong enough, wielded, and then he got the rune on his hand, on Brennan's hand, trying to get him to, Naolan trying to bring Brennan back, through siphoning his own signet.
Which is interesting. I'm really interested to see what the rune is, because it's not until Onyx Storm that they really start studying the runes.
Yeah, because they start studying it a bit in the part 2 of this book.
Kind of after they leave, but like it's not as in depth as in Onyx Storm. As well as I just think that the way that Violet talks about Xaden, especially in these books, she sounds like a fucking virgin. And I don't care. I'm gonna stand on that. She sounds like a virgin and I don't care.
She's not.
I know, but she fucking sounds like it. She's like, the way that like she pines for him, that is why I still think, I'm like, she was a virgin, because never in my life have I heard like anybody pine over their significant other like this. And I know a lot of married people.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's fine.
It is a romance book.
Ugh. I know.
But I do appreciate, I know that I said it is a romance book, but I do appreciate how it's not just, like, it really is, because, the genre is romantasy. It really is fantasy. Like, it isn't just, here's like, romance, and then there's just a fantasy. Like, no, this is a fantasy, and there's romance in it.
I also like that the war is actually a real thing here and not just a pretend thing that we talked about for like 8 books. And then all of a sudden it like comes in and plot armor, bitch. I like the fact that yes, of course, there's always going to be plot armor in every book, but I like the fact that they talked about the war and the war was also shown. And I'm like, good job. Thank you for showing your work. We appreciate it.
So proud. Yeah. And it's like, obviously, like you said, obviously they're talking about it. Like, they talk about it. It's a very prevalent thing. But you see it, and even if you're not, even if you're not seeing the big war yet. Like, we haven't seen the big war yet. In any of the books.
No.
We haven't seen it.
We haven't.
We've seen some pretty big battles, but we haven't seen the big wars. But even in those battles, I mean, it gets intense.
It
like,
does, and
very there. And I mean, they're not just like, there's small battles even in between, like in the books. Like, one thing that I really like about this series is that it's fast paced, and like,
I love.
Yes, you have some fast. It's so fast, and that's obviously you have some dips, but even in the dips, you're finding out more information about the world. You're figuring out more. Like what's a big moment? There was a moment that I remember when we read the first time. That I was like, wow, this is like a slower part, but we just figured out. Oh, like when it's revealed to Rhiannon and everybody Like, there's no war. There's nothing. But it's them slowly trying to hide that dagger. And it's just that tense, like, oh god, this is a little bit stressful, you guys.
Yeah. I also kind of, thinking about this, do you think that this book is called Iron Flame because of the bunker that she was put in, or Iron Flame because of the lore, because it's actually that important?
I think it's the second option. Because
So
I feel
you
like the
think
first
it's
option's too easy.
because that she was like put in that box, like in the bunker?
I think it's because it's called
Or
Iron
you think
Flame because of the end.
Okay. You do? You think it's
I
because
do.
of the end?
Yeah.
And you think it's because of the bunker?
No.
What I'm saying, Ashley, and what you keep saying is, oh, it's the second one. And so I'm like, oh, so it's the one about the iron box that lures the venom. And you're like, no, it's because of the end. And I was like,
oh, yes, I'm caught up now. I thought you meant the
Where
bunker,
are
like,
we?
where she's tortured. I was like, I am confused. Why would that be a part of Iron Flame? Thank you.
well, that is like that. I was like, do you think like that was the reason? Do you think it's because that she was tortured in the bunker and the bunker is made out of iron because of the dragons? Or do you think that it's because of the lure that can lure the venom?
I think it's
one or two.
option.
Just say one or two.
Two.
You say two. Thank you. Because
Yes.
I also think that it is two. I also think that it is two. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
I actually I just kind of thought about that. And that's really interesting to think about. Also, the fact that Violet crashes out so hard in these first two chapters, just immediate crash out. And I'm like, girl, breathe. I get it that you are an overthinker. We love it because I am too. So I can relate. But also,
and also, I mean, it is understandable. Like, the little things, because, you know, big things just changed. And I do also appreciate how, like, that's a big thing in this book. It's like, your entire world just got thrown on its head. Like, you're gonna be stressed about the tiny things. And I do like how that's kind of like, obviously it's in the first chapter, it's like, oh my gosh, about the time, like, what if I did that? It's like, okay, let's breathe. But, like, that carries on throughout the entire book until she reaches the breaking point.
I also just think that it's so interesting what is already like I said, the first two chapters sum up the entire book. Like, we could stop at the first two chapters and just talk about the end of this book, because it really just goes to show everything that is going to happen and how much foreshadowing just happens if you're paying attention. And well, also, I guess not even if you are paying attention, but if you know what you're looking for.
Yeah. Because, like, even on a first read, that all of this would be so hard to catch. But
Absolutely,
if going in as a second read, it's, I know how this ends, and I know what I'm looking out for. Okay, this is what we're looking out for.
Exactly. I also find it interesting that, I mean, it's a big spoiler, but she says it. She states it in this book that Indarna looks iridescent.
She does! She really does! She does! She's like, oh wow, she looks iridescent. And I literally heard that and I was like, oh my gosh. That's a third book spoiler.
Which I was shocked that, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be shocked, but I was shocked that I didn't catch that and remember that detail when reading the third book. And then it wasn't until this reread that I was like, she said it. She already said it, like it was there. And the fact that, well, we didn't talk about it because I actually didn't look it up. I didn't do the homework because I should have done that. But Taryn does state that there's like an area around Erasia that him and Coda came from. And does state the line name, and I forgot to like look back into book 1 to see if it's the same dragon line.
I forgot about that.
Because there is a theory that the dragons are lying and that they don't tell the humans their real name due to history, I'm assuming.
Maybe. And I know that there's also a pretty big theory going around that the dragons are evil.
I'm kind of into it, though.
I really am. And I think it'd be... I mean, I know we've talked about it. Me and Kaylee really want a lovers to enemies. And as much as we want it with... I do. I really do. And as much as we want it with Violet and Xaden, Sigale and Taryn, oof, that'd be heartbreaking.
It kind of makes me so excited to, like, think about that, because I'm like, they have the most to lose, though. They have the most to lose. And if the theory is correct and Taryn's rider did become Venin, if Naolan did become Venin and Taryn was able to let him go, obviously spoilers for book 3, but if Sigale is not able to let Xaden go, that could be the catalyst point of why they're, like, going through this, because Sigale can't let it go. Like, Sigale can't let Xaden go where Taryn did. Taryn let Naolan go and be a Venin and cut him off. But I don't think that Sigale's going to be able to do that.
She's going to choose Sigale. And also, it does state, I don't remember when, but it does state that Sigale will always choose Xaden, but never choose Taryn. Xaden is her number one and not Taryn.
Is it? Does that? Where is that stated? In what book?
I don't remember if it's 2 or 3, but it does state that no one chooses Taryn first.
Are you sure? Because I feel like the quote that you're talking about is when in battle that dragons will choose their riders over their mates in a battle situation. But I'm not quite for sure necessarily what exact line you're referencing. So I don't know if I can, like, actually speak on that. Because for all I know, I could be fucking wrong.
Let's see.
I also find it interesting, like, if the theory is that the dragons are evil, quote unquote evil.
Yeah.
Why did those dragons save Brennan? I was also, like, kind of thinking about that. The fact that Brennan doesn't mention any other, like, humans around, that it was, like, these dragons were there and, like, the dragon saved him. I wonder, because I've been thinking about it for a while, I wonder if those were, like, Irids that came to check on what was going on. Because in the 3rd book, they kind of mention that they have checked previously. You know? And I was like, oh!
How interesting. Interesting.
But also, we'll see. I don't know. Obviously, this is all just, like, a theory. But I would love lovers to enemies, Sigale and Taryn. Also, I kind of love the idea of lovers to enemies for Violet and Xaden. But also, I just want them to have a Shakespearean tragedy. First of all, if it was Sigale and Taryn, lovers to enemies, and then, like, Xaden and Violet is a Shakespearean tragedy end, kind of love it.
Yes, I agree. And, I mean, I know I sent it to you, but I saw this one theory that was when Violet finds Xaden at the end of Onyx Storm. He hands her a sword and says, okay, finish it. You found me, let's do it. And he asked her to kill him. Kind of here for it.
But I also just think that, I like that. But I just think that it would... Half of me is like, I like the theory for the end of Onyx Storm, but does that mean that she... Okay, so, first of all, does that mean that Xaden is dead? And that's why Imogen erased her memory, because Xaden no longer, like, is alive?
Oh.
And that's what happened at the end of Onyx, and that's why she has the ring, like the Eurasian ring. Not really because they're married, but because that was like the last keepsake that Xaden could give her.
How
Or,
interesting.
I mean, you literally like laid it out. Like you laid out that
I
groundwork,
did.
and you're or is he still alive and, you know, the memory got erased because he really is a Venin and wanted to marry her to keep the crown. But I don't even think that he would need to, because Bodhi is the successor.
But what?
Although I would kind of love it if Xaden was already dead. I'm not gonna lie about it. I'm not gonna lie about it. I just think that it would really kind of fuel the plot more if Xaden was dead.
Oh, it'd be so good.
It would also be like so good, because just think about like the ending of book 4 when she like actually finds out. But also poor Imogen. Damn.
Yeah.
Imogen is like, not gonna lie, Imogen is such a heavy hitter and she carries a lot of shit for them. And I feel like she doesn't get enough recognition.
Yeah. Also, I do want to say, like, to the Brennan thing, House of Gale doesn't like him.
Right?
It's so interesting. Like, and I know Sigil doesn't like a lot of people. I mean, she snaps at Dane because Dane's a dick. But also, interesting that she doesn't like Brennan as much as she doesn't like Dane.
I mean, I'm sure that this is a lot of people's thought, oh, well, obviously she doesn't like Brennan because Naolan hurt Taryn. And so, by proxy, Brennan hurt Taryn. And that's why she can't stand him. Because it does seem like this has been happening over years, even probably before Naolan passed. Which is why I'm like, I could understand the feeling being intensified if he was a Venin, which I'm interested to see. Because Naolan was a Siphon, it kind of just seems like that's like the only option. Like, why is Brennan alive if he was the mender that got mended?
I want to see, for a beginning excerpt, Kaori and what he reported when he reported Brennan as dead. And then, like, the next chapter of, like, what actually happened or something.
Yeah, I think that would be a fun little book that I would be willing to read, just like a prequel, like a prequel.
Yeah, like not a full, like a prequel.
Yeah, but also like
or a
not
prologue.
Like a full. I thought a prologue.
A prologue is a chapter or two in the beginning of the book. Okay. And a prequel is like an
entire book, right?
An entire book after or before a book. So like,
yeah. I mean, I think that's
Tower
what we
of
would
Dawn
need.
is a prequel to Kingdom of Ash. Type of thing. But it was written differently. I'm just saying it like that's the order. It's not really. It'd be like, I can't think of an example. But it's a book that is about something in the past. So it's like if we got a book of A Little Life before, like, Little Life is out.
I understand.
Okay.
But, I guess I would only be willing to, like, read this prequel book if it was, like, 6 chapters, 10 chapters. Like, it better be fucking small. Or else I'm gonna shoot myself. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying, a prologue.
Yeah. But, like, a prologue, I mean, actually, they could probably sum it up in a prologue. They could do, like, 3 chapters of a prologue. But I'm also thinking, I'm like, oh, if they do a prequel, the first, like, part of the book could be, Lilith and Asher's story, and then the second one is what happened and, like, how their marriage fell apart. That's why I'm like, maybe the prequel is just Lilith and Asher.
Yes, I agree.
Because I would kind
of I do want to know what happened.
I'm
I
excited.
mean, like, I feel like I could piece it together. I think I know what happened, but I want to see, like, the events and, like, how they
Mhm.
fell in love and then just, like, the slowly
Mm,
realizing.
yeah.
And, like, what if that's how Zayden and Violet end up? And that's why we keep getting it foreshadowed.
Maybe.
One ended up
Maybe.
dead.
But also, yes, one ended up dead. But also, it could be like he faked his death because he knew what was going on. It's also interesting that Violet is like sitting here being like with Brennan, like, oh, he didn't know. Like, do you think he knew? And I'm like, of course he did, bitch. Like, you're stating so many times that scribes hold the power and know and
Mhm.
have and keep and pertain the most knowledge. There's no way that he doesn't, especially because he was so high in the scribe quadrant. He was
Yeah.
so high in it.
Mhm.
And not only that is I think that he didn't die from melancholy. I kind of think that the head scribe sentenced him to death because he wanted to change and like put books in that like the tales that told the truth.
And it was like poison or something.
Mhm. Yeah, something like that. And that's the reason why the mom stayed is because they were blackmailing her, because if she like left or told like her kids or anything like that, they would, hurt them.
Yeah, because it is stated later in this book that she knew and she wanted to,
Mhm. Yeah, like she said
but
it
she
was,
couldn't.
yeah. And I think it was threat of losing her family and threat of being put to death, because if we think about it, like when they knew it was around the time when Zayden's dad had his rebellion, and
Mhm.
all of the people in the rebellion died
Yeah.
and their kids suffered. And
Mhm.
I think that they could possibly be very similar to Amber Mavis's parents,
Mm.
where like Amber Mavis's parents like backed out at the last second, or I don't really know why they aren't, like, they were a part of it and then they weren't a part of it.
Yeah,
So
it
I
was they're
don't,
part of it, and then they figured out they're gonna die, and then it went, oh, never mind. I don't. No, no, no.
yeah, I wonder if that was very similar to the circumstances that happened to Violet and her
Mhm.
family, which is, I'm like, but also just the fact that Brennan blames his mom for the cowardice of the entire country.
Yeah.
I also just think that it's so interesting how their dad is truly romanticized,
Yeah.
because like they don't ever say like his small flaws, and you kind of do get to see in the recovered correspondence his small flaws a lot more from Lilith's perspective.
Mhm.
Like, it's really interesting, this, like, how this is like panning out, but I'm very
It
excited.
is. I know. And I mean, I know this is just the first two chapters, so we're gonna have a lot more to talk about as
Hmm.
the book goes on. But I mean, I was shocked at how much we had to talk about for just two chapters. Like how it connects to the rest of the book.
Exactly, just like I was saying, the first two chapters is the entire book. If you're looking
Yeah.
for it, it is definitely the entire book. But also, I did not make the connection that it's called Iron Flame, possibly because of the iron box that lures the venom.
And they catch it on fire, don't they?
The box
I think so.
at the end?
I thought so.
I think they do. I can't remember.
We'll see. We'll see
We'll
when
see.
we get there.
We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, since we don't really have, I don't have anything else to add. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't
Small
really have anything
spoiler
else to
section
add.
today.
Very, very small spoiler section, but
But hey, it's
fun
the first chapters.
Yeah, it's the first 2 chapters, but it'll definitely go. This side will most likely get bigger as the book goes on, and more things are revealed, and we remember more things because it was fresh in our head.
Yep. So we're really excited about that, and I hope that you guys enjoyed. We always have a fun time hanging out, so we hope that you did. If you could like, comment, subscribe, and do all of the things that you need to do.
And the only thing that we have left to say is, what did the void say to you?